Hello everyone, welcome to my live stream. My name is Denise Hutchins and I'm broadcasting to you from Studio Mikarts. Our charity of the month is Food Empowerment Project. We've actually already met our viewer goal here on Twitch, but please consider donating there if you'd like to help more directly. Otherwise, just watch my stream and bring your friends because I'm going to be making a donation at the end of the month based on my unique viewers count for the month. So, you can help Food Empowerment Project without spending any money. Just spend some time with me. Okay, Thursday means it's time for more illustration, and we are working on this piece. It's meant to be a birthday card. Once it's done, it's a scene with a family of Gryphons and maybe some friends celebrating a first birthday of these three baby ones. I've used graphite so far to get the lines on to this page, and it's been all watercolor since then. Yesterday, now that I'm looking at the progress I made yesterday, it's quite nice, if I do say so myself. I'm very pleased with it. Coming back to it now, let me get a sip of tea. It's in my nice Estario. What is it called? Lover Pretend? No, this one's called Sympathy Kiss. It's an otome game. Anyway. I bought the version, or I can't remember if I bought this separate or if I bought the version that came with the game, but I got the special tumbler that came with the otome game. And I got my delicious Princess Gray tea in it. The second steeping of the same tea leaves, so it shouldn't be too much caffeine for me being this late in the afternoon. Okay, let me get my bearings. I am looking... Maybe I need some more tea. My throat is kind of dry. I haven't been talking much all day, and now that I am, my throat is all dry. Get another sip. Another sip of tea. And I really am rather sipping it today instead of saying sip and then taking a giant gulp because it's still pretty hot. This tumbler works really well. I made this tea hours ago and it's finally cool enough to drink in there. Well, since we've been sort of just working on these adult Gryphons, let's finish them off because all that's left is the beaks. This big one in the front is just the barest indication of the closest adult Gryphon, which is like right here. But we did the black feathers and fur for the wings, the legs, the tail, everything else. We did the white parts as well. And I am very happy with how that's looking. I don't feel like I need any more. Especially here. Here it was looking too light. But at the very end I added a whole bunch of paint. I'm satisfied with how it looks. So yeah, let's just finish the beaks off since we're working on it so much. Do I want a really big brush for beak color? I don't know if we need that much paint. How about this one? This is my second biggest brush. It's an 8. So beak color, I think we use this more green of my, whoa, my painting I realize is way the heck down here, not on the screen. Okay, use this more greenish yellow as the base color, it seems like. I don't even have my reference images up yet, but for this I don't think I need them all, but now that I say that I'm like, what if there's something about the beaks that I don't remember? Well, let me just get some more water on here first. Get this base color out. This is clearly a big part of what the main color was on the beaks to start with, so it won't hurt to put this down here first. Alright, we got that down there. I'm just gonna set up, don't go all the way in though, thank you. Set that there and open up my reference images. I've got a whole folder here on Firefox. Open all in tabs and then move tab to new window. I've been really slow, mentally slow today, so that's why I was not, yet again, was not able to get this kind of thing done before the stream. But it was even later than yesterday today, and I was like, let's just get started. We can do this on stream as usual. Okay, I'm just pulling this down, pulling my OBS up. And perfect. Okay, what I want to see, oh, here we go. This is exactly what I wanted to see. Oh, it's perfect. All right, I've got a great reference image. So it's definitely not super green. I want to add some of this warmer yellow to it to be the first layer of shadow, and perhaps just not just shadow, but adding a little bit different color, because what I'm seeing here in my reference image is several different kinds of yellow. Some looks a little bit more green, maybe mixed with the black that's on the top. There's like a black stripe on the top, so I'm glad that I looked. And then there's also ridges that seem very orange as well. So let's start with this kind of, oh, this looks good. Let's start with something like this too. Let's start with this to start with. That's what I was gonna say. Okay, I'm gonna rinse out the brush. The beaks are really so small, so we don't need to do too much work on them. That also means I need to be careful because there's not that much room to smooth out any unwanted marks. So let's try this. So there's a black stripe right on the top all the way down to the tip. On the sides is where I'm seeing more of this orange color. So I'll add that. We're looking at this beak straight, almost straight on. So I think something like this, and maybe as it curves down, might see a little bit more. Yeah, and then a little bit underneath these fluffy feathers on the head, they'll be casting some shadow. Let's call that good for that one. Let's work on this one in the back. Don't want too much water because it's such a small space that it won't stay where I want. If it's too much water, it'll just billow out of the lines. Looking at my reference and then looking back. Yeah, these are just teeny tiny little details, which is actually really fun. That's my favorite part. That's my favorite part of any piece, is adding those little details. The hard work is getting all of the big stuff done. See, it's kind of like building a pyramid. And the funnest part of the pyramid is putting that little triangle, that little small pyramid part at the very tip. That's the funnest part. But you've got to build the huge, giant bottom foundation, the literal foundation first, before you can get there. Took me a long time to teach myself that. I mean, maybe I knew it intellectually, but it's totally different trying to get yourself to act accordingly. And then we do have this really giant beak. I'm actually going to use a really big brush for that. One that's super close. Even more masking of that spot where I dropped my brush last week. Dropped it on this part of the beak. So I'm thinking the cupcake might be casting a little shadow itself. Turn this around so I don't get my hand in this wet part. Although this actually, well, I'll do my best. This is actually quite a small spot. A bit tough for this brush, but if I just use the tip, it's doing all right. I'm putting this on here and I'm gonna dab away with my towel because I initially painted that part of the beak the frosting color. I forgot what I was doing with my own sketch, so I did my best at the time to sort of soak up the paint, but it still looks a different color. So hopefully now I can use my towel with this secondary color, pull up the secondary color, but it is still stained the paper, and it will look even closer to this color, I hope. Alright, that's good for now. Do I need a darker color? Yeah, let's mix a little bit more. Let's add some of this actual... I don't really have an orange in this set, but it's sort of a red orange. Vermilion is what I would call it. Let's mix some of that in. Yeah, when you mix it in with the yellow, then it becomes orange, what I call orange. Okay, rinse the brush out. This is definitely going to be just some teeny tiny stuff. Where I'm seeing the orange most is a little bit underneath at the very bottom edge, the bottom jaw, and also sort of a ridge, like the edge of a knife, on the bottom edge of the top jaw. So I don't think we'll even see it here on this one's beak, but on this one, and this one. I think this might be a little bit too watery though. Let's try to get a little bit more pigment in here. So it's this teeny tiny area, putting a really watery brush down, it'll just go all over the place, and especially on these nice white feathers. So I'll do my best to use the paper towel to soak up some more moisture as well. Okay. Let's add in a little bit of orange. And on this one, putting it on this one's eyes too, because they're closed in sort of anime style happy eyes. So that will emphasize that appearance. Okay, I don't want this tiny brush. Let's get, but not this one. This one's too big. We can use this one. Let's use this one. Okay, now I want to, I've got these two edges done, but I want to soften it up. Yay. Yes, me likey. Me like this look. And that sort of knife edge look, you can't really see it here, so I won't put any on the top because the frosting will be covering up from this angle, would be covering up the part that would be orange. So we'll just leave that part. We actually, I think, could do on this beak a little bit of this black. Just a bit, just a touch. not a lot. Just based on what I'm seeing in the reference image. This almost looks like there's black underneath the yellow part of the beak. So just, yeah, this is exactly what I want. But I'm also doing my best. I don't want it to touch this orange part, so doing my best to keep them separate. Alright. I think that's good. Also, I think that's good. Okay. Now, I keep working this way, and this one is still wet because it's the biggest area. I think I can just use this paint that was for the feathers to add the black streak down the beak. This is the most prominent one that shows that. Just grab some of this. It just comes all the way down to the tip. It is a little softer looking closer to the face, but it's a pretty sharp edge as you go along to the tip of the beak. So for that softer edge, I'm gonna rinse out my brush, just get a teeny tiny bit of water on it and dab it on the edges of the paint, of the wet paint, so that they'll feather out. And then bring pigment from higher up, I guess lower, if you consider this lower. Bring it up there toward that part that I thinned out, and I'm even gonna add a little bit more pigment. A little more paint just in the center so that it looks the same level of dark at the tip as at the top, but also has those edges that are fading out into the yellow. Wow, dang, that makes it look so much more defined or real, or I don't know. I don't know how to explain adding that little tiny stripe on the beak. It's a kind of detail that pops. So we got to add them on this one and this one as well. Here, again, I don't think we'll actually see that because of the way that we're angled like this. If the stripe was the top of the beak here on the edge of my hand, the angle is like this, so you can't see the edge of my hand, so you wouldn't see that stripe on the top part of the beak. But we will see it on this one and this one. I'm gonna turn it this way because I think this still might be wet. I don't want to accidentally get my hand in it. So turning it this way, I can paint these, not disturb this paint either, and have plenty of room for my hand here. I'm using my tiniest brush. Well, the tiniest brush that I got out for this project. I do have a smaller brush, but I haven't found that it actually makes that much of a difference, because as long as you're using the tip of this size brush, this one is a 1. It's just as small as using a 000. Okay, 000 is the smallest I have. That's the smallest brush I have. Okay, bring this black line all the way down the curve of the beak. And this one. Get a tiny touch of water. Do the same thing I did with that first Gryphon. Feather the black paint out. That's getting to be too much water, so wipe brush on towel. Get some of the water off. little bit more pigment because now it's thinned out. The color is thinned out. I want it to spread out, but I don't want it to be thinned out. So if I just add it to the middle, the very top part, it will naturally flow down into the water that I applied lower down on the beak. There are some areas where I'd like to add a little bit more definition, but I'll save that for the ink. Like the line where the top jaw and the bottom jaw meet is not super defined on these, but we will be able to get there using a little bit of ink. Oh, I'm afraid. Okay, I'm gonna bring this line over to the side a little bit on this one. There we go. That's a bit better. Well, maybe it's a little bit too wide now, but that's how it is. This one has a unique wider mark on its beak. Probably that happens in nature. All these birds surely do not look exactly the same like a cookie cutter. In fact, I have seen in the reference images some birds will have like not a white part down here and only the bottom part of the face and the neck is white or whatever. So just like we humans have different color hair and freckles or no freckles or whatever, I'm sure these birds are the same. So I've got the beaks done. Quite happy with that. Maybe we have fun now trying to remove. Let's see, did I get my eraser thing? Okay, I don't remember what it's called. When I see it, I will see what it's called on the package. I'm getting up to get the thing that I need. It's called an adhesive eraser. Here I shall bring an unopened one. Came in a 3-pack when I bought it. I don't know if I'll ever go through all 3 of them because I don't use masking fluid very much. And so I don't use these very much, but I guess to explain if you haven't seen any of my previous streams on this project, I used some masking fluid on the legs and tails of these Gryphons because they're based on a tiger coal which has spots on it, and so you're able to paint on top of the masking fluid, and then when you're done with it you use this adhesive eraser. I've seen things say, oh, you can just use your finger. I tried that first before I bought these. Don't do it. You're gonna like burn your finger. It's a nightmare. It's so painful afterwards for a long time too. Not like, oh, you go to sleep the next day and it's better. No, it lasts. So just drop the, I don't know, $10 to get a 3-pack of these and save yourself the pain. Anyway, so once you're ready, you can use this to remove. So we're definitely not ready here. Let me hold this up closer. We're not ready here. We have not fully painted these fellows here. So this is gonna stay, but maybe the camera will pick it up. There's some spots on the tails and legs of these adult Gryphons, which are done. I think they're done. So we can remove, I mean, maybe I'll add a little bit of paint for atmospheric effect or something like that, but we don't need to have the spots covered in order to do that. In fact, it might be better to have them uncovered. So let's try. See if we can get the spots to show up. It's been so long since I used this. I do see little spots showing up, but I wonder if there's some technique that I should be using or something. I don't use masking fluid very much. I just think it's easier for my brain. I was getting a little... These are very sticky. I'm getting little hairs off of it. There's all these hairs on it. They're distracting. Visually distracting to me. Anyway, I have not used these in so long. I don't know if there's some trick to it. So I do think I'm making progress. But I also wonder if I'm taking the paint off too, and then what's the point? Yeah, I don't know. It's taking all the paint off. Let's see if there's any tip in the instructions for the masking fluid. Worst case scenario, I can just add the spots with gouache or white ink, which is what I default to usually anyway. Oh, nope, this does not have this does not have any advice for how to actually remove the product once you're done. Maybe if I try it on this bigger leg. I'm sad to say it's just taking the paint off. I was so excited for this, but it's not working. Let me get my favorite watercolor instruction book. See if it has any tips. Haven't had to crack this open in a while, but it's the name is not hyperbole. Complete Watercolorist Essential Notebook. It's got everything you'd ever need, or everything I'd ever need. So let's see. Going to the index. Oh, masking. Removing. Oh, masking fluid. Okay, there's so many different pages. Let's try 54, 58. That's the removing one. Oh, I almost flipped right to it. 54. Liquid latex. Masking fluid. That's it. Where's the removal process? Oh. Oh, that's for removing it from your brush. Multiple masking. No. The gum has a tendency to remove some color from the page, so you may want to go back in with more concentrated colors. Blast it. So, but what if it doesn't come off? What if it doesn't come off at all? Hold on. Let's see what the index said. Some more tips on masking. Masking fluid, 30 to 31. Haha. Wow. This has so many names. It can be called liquid latex, misket, frisket, white mask, liquid resist, drawing gum, maskoid, giraffe gum, etc. Depending on who makes it. Okay. I wonder if I did this. I guess I can look at it later. Maybe this is why it's not coming off. It says don't dry masking fluid in direct sunlight or with a hairdryer unless you want it permanently bonded to your painting. Uh-oh. I can't remember if I did that or not, but maybe that's why it's not coming off. But how do you get it? Okay, well, maybe I can't get it off. Well, I looked that up, so at least I know what's going on, perhaps. Because it's just not coming off. It's just taking the... What if I try this on the baby's tails? Did I dry it with my heat gun? I can't remember. I mean, I can go back later and try to see if I did it in my previous live streams. Dang it! Oh well. We'll put this away. Can't get this off. Dang. I don't think this... That's too bad. I only used the instructions on this. Did not say anything about don't use heat to dry it. Teaches me not to rely on my ultimate watercolor book. Well, hopefully I'll remember in the future. But this is not a big problem. All I will do is paint these spots with some sort of opaque and non-glossy, opaque and, what's the opposite of glossy? Opaque and matte material. So either white India ink or white gouache paint. And it will be fine. So, not the end of the world, but I was so excited to show you how cool it looks when you remove that. But, actually what I'm gonna do is put a sticky note in here that says, do not dry with a hairdryer. Do not dry with heat. Air dry only. So that future me will not run into this issue. There. Future me, don't make this mistake. So I'll put that. Air dry only, no heat or sun, or it will permanently bond to the page. Put this on here. Nice bright green sticky note. That's one of the many reasons why in general I try not to use masking at all anyway. Because I have not had that much. It's been like 50-50. Half the time, it's the most amazing experience. It's so fun to remove and see the paint underneath and the paint that you did, and it comes away, and it's just like opening a present. The other half of the time, I run into some issue or another. And this actually had... I wanted to read this to you, too. It's sort of has the same philosophy as me anyway, even though it tells you about masking and it even has like projects you can do that use masking. It said, let's see, where was it? 54, 58, I think. No, it wasn't this one. I want to find it. It had a great way of saying it. Maybe it was at the very beginning, 30 to 31. Page 30, 31. I totally recommend this book. I'm not getting paid to promote it or anything. I never am. But I completely recommend this book to anybody who wants to use watercolor. It's so good. Okay. I didn't read this part. I'm just going to read a couple of excerpts. This is under the masking materials section. Masking is, in effect, the lazy man's way around negative painting. Blah, 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 blah. The part that I liked was... Why can't I find it now? It's sad. It was something about don't rely on it as a crutch. I can't find it. What was the other bit I looked at? I just looked at another page. 58. It's on 58. Oh well. Let's just oh wait, here we go. I found it! Yay! This is another section called masking, but it's a little bit farther. It's page 54. Masking should not be used as a crutch. Before using any masking material, ask yourself if you could just as easily save the area by painting around it. Negative painting, see pages 72 to 77. Anyway, just that little quote, that's all I wanted to find. That is my philosophy. If at all possible, I like to just paint around. It's much easier, there's less tools involved, you're more sure of what you're doing. It doesn't require this sort of thinking 3 steps ahead and then working towards that, which can, when you're already, there's some little mark on my stand here. When you're already working on such a complicated piece, it can sort of be overwhelming instead of productive, and it can actually cause you to trip up and make mistakes that if you did it the more straightforward way wouldn't have even happened. So anyway, now I'm going to sort of help these areas out where I tried to remove the masking fluid but it wouldn't remove, so the paint came off instead. So just want to, well, the word that's coming to mind is refurbish, but that's not the right word. I'm not refurbishing the paint. Replenish? That's closer. Yeah, maybe replenish is what I'm thinking. Just bring this back to the level that I had it before and I was liking. Oh well. It's the only thing that is a negative about this situation is that I was looking forward to showing you how cool it would be. I don't really have time to go back and look and see if I used the heat gun, but I wouldn't be surprised if I did, and so that would totally explain why the masking fluid is not coming up. Let me have another little sip of tea. My throat is so sore today. Ever since I started talking, it's weird. I've hardly been talking at all today. My throat wasn't bothering me before, but now it is. Oh, this leg too. Need to fix up a bit. Just add a little bit to fill in these sort of holes that happened due to rubbing with the, what is it called again? Adhesive eraser. So we'll just add those little spots with white later. There, you wouldn't even know. Nice and filled back in. So what shall I work on next? I don't think there's anything more. Well, actually, now that these are dry, I want to put a little bit more black on them now that I'm seeing these beaks dry. Since even black watercolor is translucent, so I'm going to fill it in a little bit more. My brush was coming apart at the tip. I needed to roll it to bring the bristles back together. I'm adding teeny tiny little strokes for texture. Boom! I'll show you how that looks. See if my camera will autofocus. Yay, it did. So I'm not sure how well it shows up, but there's these teeny tiny little hatch lines on either side of the beak. Didn't really do it so much on this one, but this one we can see that side part of the beak where it goes under the eye. So I added some there too. Okay, what's next? Yesterday I worked a little bit on the hats, so let's do something that's kind of a break. Let's work on the hats and these little pennants. I say it's a break because it's kind of tough to paint the Gryphons because I'm trying to get them to look naturalistic based on the animals they're made up of. So it requires a lot of brain power, so I'm a little bit tired. Let us take a break with something that's less pressure, which is these little triangle shapes. So I'm purposefully bringing in some orange here because that's really close to the opposite of green, which is red. So that just helps make it a shadow color. But yesterday's work, I painted several times, but there's hardly any difference. So I think what I need to do is go get really serious about the dark colors and also make sure there's a lot of pigment and not a high ratio of water. Much more pigment to water ratio. Yeah, that looks good. Really, really nice and dark. Dark and rich. And I think that might be good to start with. So I'll just rinse my brush out because I want to use a smaller brush for these party hats. Let's use this one, my second to smallest. Yeah, that's more like it. But I don't want some super stark shadow because I decided that these Gryphons are in fairly diffuse light, So let's soften the edge so that it gets that feeling. There. Ooh, I think that's going to be much more, yeah, even when wet you can tell that it looks shaded. So let's do the next hat the same way. Oh, Exie is here. Hello! How are you? Thank you for joining me. So happy to see you. Hope you're doing great. Anything exciting happened since yesterday? Sometimes it's better if not, though. If everything's going smooth, that's probably the best. Okay. A little bit, being mindful of the little bit of string holding the hat on. I want to retain that. I like that little realistic details like that. I think it helps this fantastic image be believable. Oh, thank you. Yay. Oh, awesome. I'm so glad you're doing all right. You're welcome. I'm doing well too. Well, I keep having a scratchy throat, but it's just ever since I started streaming, so I think it's just from talking. So, otherwise, doing great. I am really enjoying the progress on this piece. I'm getting really anxious to see it finish. It's just so exciting. Oh, cool, a commission. Yay! Is it another commission for a band? Or a like a DJ? Or is it a different kind of thing? Not that you have to say, I was just curious. So if it's if you don't want to say, that's totally fine as always. Oh, same DJ, awesome. If it's Discord friendly, I'd love to see it in Discord later if you want to share it. It's always completely up to you. I love seeing everybody else's work. It's just inspiring. I know we've talked about this before. It's inspiring to see everyone else doing their stuff. It makes me want to work on my stuff. Oh, nice. Yay. I'd love to see it. So this hat's a little bit harder to shade because it's not, the light is hitting the top of a cone. So it's going to be less of a hard line, even less of a hard line than what I was trying to do with those other hats. So hopefully I can get that. I still want it to look shaded though, especially because there's a couple pieces of frosting on here, so those ought to be casting a shadow on the hat. Oh, I didn't see your message before that. Biggest and longest one yet. Challenging. Is it like an animation? I remember you've done like some animation type ones. Or they're animated. The word animation sometimes suggests a story, but animated. It's awesome that you have this ongoing relationship with a DJ. That's really cool. Okay. Oh, yes, that's so much better. Yay! That's the only thing. I'd like to add a little bit more to this one in the middle. I don't think I brought it up high enough. Oh, interesting. Just a big scene with it. So it's like as if it's a big... So if it were physical, it'd be like a big illustration or something. And then like the camera is going around on it like this kind of thing. That's what I'm imagining based on what you said. That's how a lot of scenes are done in traditional animation. I mean, I'm no expert on traditional animation. I was like, I thought I wanted to be an animator, then I actually found out what it's like, and I'm like, oh wait, no, that's not what I want to do. But I think it's smart of animators to create the big giant scene and then do a little animation here, and the animation can go all the way along. You don't have to keep animating the background. You just use a really big background. Then there's a more sense of continuity too in the environment. A building and a garden. A building and its garden. Oh, yeah. If you're getting tired, you should definitely take a break. The burnout is real. I think it's good. It's good to hear that you're proactive. You're being proactive about that. I'm still having a hard time. I'm always pushing myself too hard, and then I let stuff go, and then I'm like, I don't know what's happening. If I'm like keep adding stuff in place of it or what. I keep feeling overwhelmed all the time, so I'm like, it's a really good thing that I built in after that a couple months ago, and I built in a break, like a recharge week. I'm calling it my recharge week, and so that every few weeks I can look forward to a week to catch my breath. Maybe do other stuff that's fallen by the wayside or whatever, or even just like play video games all week if that's what I need. It's still hard to give myself that though, because my workaholic brain is like, but. But then my main brain is like, I can't handle this any longer. I need a break. Okay, so I got the hats done. I could probably put more on it in a second, but let's leave those and move on to the pennants. There's a similar shape, similar color, but I do want them to look a different color, so they're a little bit more bluish green. So I'm going to get a bunch of my bluish green. And let's put it over here so that it's separate. And I want to do the same thing I learned from yesterday. I need to get a bunch of pigment, so I'm just going to keep swiping this around. Oh, my throat's getting all dry again. Hold on. Have I seen the new Fallout series? I don't think so. What? Yeah, I'm sure isn't Fallout a game? Is it a new game? Or is it an announcement? I don't know. I don't think I have. Tell me about it. Why did you bring it up? I want to know. You've caught my attention now. Series based on a game series. Oh. So that they like, is it out? They like, I actually don't know that much about Fallout. I just know it's super popular. I know it as a game series, super popular. And that's it. Tell me more. Oh wait, I got that plain green, but it doesn't look quite, oh, you can't really see it very well. I'll move this down a little bit. Now you can see it a little bit. It's not really shadow color. I want to add a little bit to darken it up. What shall I add? Some brown? Some brown. These pennants I want to stay in the background, so yes, maybe some brown would actually be good. This brown right here is almost gone though. I don't want these pennants to be too vibrant because then they'll stand out. They're just meant to be decorations giving a vibe to the space. So I gotta keep them in the back vibing. Oh, awesome! Don't need to know anything. Never. Oh, you never played it either. Okay, I'm not alone. Show got released last week on Prime. Oh, I have Prime. Oh, really? Awesome. What's the general premise? Maybe it'll be something I watch on my... Man, my freaking throat is so dry. I couldn't speak for... Maybe it'll be something I watch on my recharge week coming up. think I'm taking the first week of May as my recharge week, because I already did my April recharge week because it was my birthday. Okay, I cannot see. There's so little of this brown paint that I'm trying to use. I need to hold it down here because I can't see it. I can't see if I'm actually touching the little block of paint or if I'm just swirling my brush around on nothing. Because I want to get enough pigment up. I don't want it to be really watery. Or else it won't really make that much of a difference. Oh, actually, also, the Fallout series, is it like a live action or animated or like CG? I guess CG is animated. I feel like animated is 2D. Classic Disney/anime style. Though in Japanese, anime just means any kind of animation, so it counts as CG. In America, we sort of divide it up like Saturday morning cartoons is cartoons, but then there's also animation, there's also CG, and in Japan it's all anime. So Looney Tunes are anime, Disney is anime. Oh, okay. Well, that seems a good enough spoiler-free explanation. Journeying in a wasteland. Live action. How long is it? Like, I guess, 2 questions. How many episodes and how long are they? So I can, like, think about where it might fit in my schedule. Okay. I think I have swirled up enough brown pigment. I really wanted this dark brown color. I feel like it's the right color to mix in to make a shadowy green. Ah, yeah, look at that. Uh-huh. I knew it. That might be a little too much, though. It's the right color, but not the right proportion. Let's add a little bit more green back in. Lighten it up. At least this is the first round of shadow color, so I don't want to go too dark to begin with. Okay, let's do that. Yeah, that's good. That's a nice color. Oh, that's not bad. 45 minutes to an hour, 8 episodes. What, did you stay up all night long? It was so good. Did you plan to do that, or was it like it was so good that you were like, forget it, I'm going to just stay up and watch the whole thing? Because if it's that good, it puts it a little higher on my to-watch list. And I do remember a similar sort of thing. I watched the Prince of Persia Disney adaptation movie before playing a Prince of Persia game. And then that got me to play the game. And then I really enjoyed the game because I really enjoyed the movie to begin with. So maybe it'll be the same thing here if I watch this one. Man, my freaking throat. Why is my throat so dry? It's like dry and crackly. And then some like gook comes to help, but then it makes it hard to talk. I'm going to take another sip of tea. Maybe I'm not actually over the cold that I had last week. I don't know. I don't really have any other symptoms other than just being tired, but I've gone back to my normal workout schedule, so I figured that's why I was tired. Okay, finally ready to paint these pennants. They're so small, except for this single one, that I'm going to use my smallest brush. That's so funny. I just kept pressing next episode and then the sun rises. That's so funny. Wow. Yeah, that's got to be good. Yeah, I'll look into it. I didn't even know. Since it's not a game series I follow, I had no idea they were even making a live-action adaptation. But now that I've thought about the Prince of Persia movie, I want to watch it again. I think it's even on Disney Plus because it was a Disney movie. It was so good. I really enjoyed it. It was like a fun adventure movie. And then the game I played, I can't remember which Prince of Persia I played, but I played one that was on the PlayStation 3, and I quite enjoyed that. It was very, very fun. I have very good memories of that game. Although I don't have memories so much of the game itself, but just how much fun I had. That's what I remember. I just remember the feeling of fun. Okay, so just like this hat is sort of sticking up at the light source, same thing with these flags. These pennants are just sort of hanging down as light in between the beams of light, so I don't want any like really strong shadow on them. Except maybe where the flowers are overhanging, but I'll do that in a second pass. So I'm just going to try to get a nice soft indication of shadow, or just that it's not a flat nothing, that it's a something object without getting any really hard shadows on it. Oh, yeah, have you seen the Prince of Persia? So you're saying you've seen the, because I forgot what I was talking about. You've seen the Prince of Persia movie? That was so fun. I have not watched it in a long time either. I've not played the game. I did see that a new game is coming out. Or a remake? Oh, now I can't remember. I actually got a little bit excited because I was like, oh yeah, I remember that game was really fun. So maybe the new one will be fun. Oh yeah, nice. I'm getting a growing list of stuff to watch. Because I found out that one of my close friends has never seen The Goonies all the way through. And that's one of my favorite movies ever since childhood. And still even today I love it. So I was like, oh, I've got to make some event so that she can come over and watch it. You know, like host a little movie viewing party. And then another movie came out. She has not seen the third My Hero Academia movie. She's finally, or getting close to, caught up on the main series. So I'm like, oh, she's got to watch the movie too. The movie's really good. The fourth movie's coming out this year, apparently. And then now this Fallout series sounds like it might be up my alley. And then rewatch the Prince of Persia movie would be fun. I'm getting excited. I thought about, because my schedule's so tight, I'm like, when can I hang out with people ever? But I realized that I've been hosting a little meetup with friends to go out and eat on Sundays. And I realized, oh, maybe every other Sunday, instead of going out to eat, I make something at home and we can watch a movie or play a game or something together. So that it's different. And it also helps out people. I know that going out to eat is not financially, not that easy financially for some of my friends. So that would also be something that takes that burden off of them. And they can just come hang out and they don't have to worry about spending any money. Yeah, it's so nice. So nice to watch the movies together. I used to enjoy like going out to the movie theater to do it, but just people just talking. Even I don't know how much of it was joke and how much of it was serious, but there was the host of America's Funniest Home Videos made a little joking rant about people talking or being on their cell phones or all these other things at the movie theater, like no consideration whatsoever for the people next to them. And I was like, this is a funny joke, but also it makes me angry because it's true. And that's why I don't go to the movie theater anymore, because I gotta pay $40 to go to the movie theater just to hear some random person next to me talk the whole time. So it's way more fun now to watch videos at home, play a game, or just hang out in the backyard because the weather is so nice now. Well, got cold for a couple days, but it's supposed to be getting warm again, so. Do you still, I don't know why I said still. Actually, do you have that same issue? Do you notice that where you live too? that if you go to the movie theater or something, people freaking talk during the movie or on their phone the whole time, and you wonder, why did you even come to the movie if you're just going to be on your phone the whole time? Like, is this a global issue? Movie theater etiquette. Oop, this one started drying, but that's okay. Wasn't able to spread the paint out as well on this one. Well, that's okay. It's just a little background element. It's not the end of the world. Ah, these look so much better though. They look more, if not 3D, they look more interesting. Most of them are still wet, but this one I think is dry. So I'm gonna hold this one up so you can see. It's just more interesting looking. And I have got some bits of shadowy areas on here, but I want to define them a bit more clearly underneath the flowers. But I want to wait until they're dry. This one feels dry because I don't want to spread. I just want it to be a sharp edge from the flower. That will help the flower pop out visually. That's just like me. I did it on purpose. I have been boycotting the movie theater for, over a year. Just because I just got so sick of it. It was every time. I wish that was what happened here. That since it's expensive, people would not talk. But I think that, I guess based on my experience, people here must have the opposite logic, that I paid this much money to get in, so I should be able to do whatever I want. That seems to be the logic here. So. But hey, thanks to streaming media, I don't even really miss it. The only time I miss it, there were these awesome special like anime events that you can't just get, because we do have streaming anime through Crunchyroll, but doesn't have movies, doesn't have anime movies very much, if at all. And so there were these events with movies that had just recently been in Japanese theaters, and sometimes they were like simultaneous release or even early release in the US, released in the US before in Japan. And I really enjoyed going to those, but even those, my fellow otaku would still ruin it with talking the whole time. But at least I can, if I really want to see those movies, I can just buy the Blu-ray from Japan and then practice my Japanese. I have my middle grade Japanese, do my best with the context of the visuals, just understand what's going on that way. I've actually done that, not for something I've never seen before, because Japanese Blu-rays are crazy expensive. But I have done that for other shows. For example, the Natsume Yu Jincho movie, one of the movies, there was no way for me to watch it, so I was like, what the heck, I'm just going to buy the Blu-ray. And so I don't know exactly what happens in it, but you can kind of tell because it's animation. You can tell what's going on, and then you have a little bit of command of the language. You can at least put it together enough to enjoy it. Yeah, that is exactly the mentality. Yep. I love that you put that little emote. That's the exact emote for my reaction to that. Like, come on. Come on. So sad. So sad. Oh well, I can't change other people. I can only change myself. So I changed myself by not going to the movie theater anymore. And I am much happier because that's money not spent there. Time spent doing stuff I actually enjoy and I know that I'll enjoy. I thought the thing that would get me to come back to the movie theater is if they created like little boxes, and you, instead of buying a seat, you buy the box. Like, or you're not really buying it, but you pay a ticket for the whole box, and it's like completely enclosed. So that people don't do anything untoward. It will be completely clear, but it will be soundproof, so that if you want to talk the whole movie, you can talk the whole movie. Or if you want to be on your cell phone, I guess you can't have it clear if people want to be on the cell phone. Anyway, maybe they'll be positioned so that they're clear, but no one could see if you were on your cell phone. There's no way to do that. That's why nobody has implemented this system, because it's impossible. It's impossible. What was the last movie I saw in the theater? Oh, man. I don't remember. I'm pretty sure it was one of those special anime movies. I think it was a Macross movie, actually. There was a new Macross movie coming. I think it was Macross. It was an anime movie for sure. And I think we actually left early because that's how bad the talking was, that you could not even pay attention to the movie. You literally, you couldn't hear the movie over the people talking. And I'm not confrontational, so even though maybe if I had gotten up and asked them to be quiet, that would have fixed the problem, I still would have been all, heart racing for the rest of the movie because of confrontation and worry about what would happen if I asked them to be quiet. So, yeah. At least it was one. I wasn't super invested in it. I've seen some Macross stuff when I was younger, but it didn't capture me the way that Gun and Wing did. But, my thing came off of my brush. I was wiping my brush off and the top part came off. Ooh. There, put it back on. Wow. Oh well. I honestly don't miss it that much. It's more that it was a fun experience when it was fun kind of thing. Okay. I kind of feel like I overdid it a little bit on the pennants, but I've been trying to work it back a little bit. But maybe I'll just leave it because so much is not been touched yet as far as making the colors more robust and adding shading. So it might end up looking fine once I get everything else done. Yeah. So let me look at my reference image for the flowers. I think I want to touch on them next. They're a very light thing, and I like to work from light to dark if possible. Where is it? Pictures? Oh, yep, it's under pictures. So here's the reference I've been using. I can't remember where I got it, but I bet a reverse image search would find it if I wanted to. It's just a kind of generic gray. The petals are very, very white and delicate. There's not much shading on them. There is a little bit more inside where the pollen is. This is still way too light. So I'm just going to put this up here on my phone stand. Oh shoot! I guess this would be a perfect opportunity to take my break. Oh, thank you! Thank you, you were thinking the same thing. Oh, I was saying it and then I looked over to see if there was anything in the chat and you said the same thing. Oh, thank you, thank you. Yeah. Let's take a break. I'm going to have a snack and stretch. Yay. And then we're going to work on the flowers. This is a nice stopping point too, because we'll finish a thing and we'll start a new thing when we come back. So put my little sign here. And I'll just be back in about 5 minutes. I hope that you will also take a break and refresh yourself. See you in a bit. Hello everyone, I'm back. I hope you all had a great break. I'm going to turn up my volume now from turning it down so that it's not a big surprise when I come back. I think about that sometimes. I put on here that this is like a chill chat space, but then I'm like always so energetic. Like, is this chill? People have told me I'm chill, but I think that's when I'm just by myself and then I'm narrating, and so it's not as exuberant. Oh, thank you, thank you. Welcome back to you as well. Had a tasty little snack, and now let's wash it down with a little tea, actually. Yummy. Actually getting kind of warm in here. The warm tea is not as nice as it would have been earlier when it was cold. It's this spring weather. It's like it's cold in the morning and then it's hot so you're like all bundled up in the morning, and then by the evening you've got to like just be in a tank top and shorts because it got so hot. Wow, I really like, so I'm looking at this now that I came back with some fresh eyes. Yay, it focused. I love this little bit of texture that naturally happened right here on this hat. That's the kind of thing that makes physical media stuff so alluring to me. Yeah, it also means that you could do a mistake. But you could have a happy accident like that, as Bob Ross says. So now I wanted to work on the flowers. Still have my reference image up on my phone. Let's do the gray on the petals. It's extremely subtle. I'll use the same gray as from the Gryphons. It's already mixed up here. I don't see any reason to go out of my way to make a different gray. So the flowers in the background are so far away, I don't think we'd actually see very much shading on them. I'm just going to put a little bit on the bottom petals to show that they are farther down. So the light's coming from above, so the petals below get shadow, not because that's necessarily how it would be, but just to help emphasize where the light is coming from. So I put a little tap of gray, and I'm just going to tap some water on it to thin it out. And I think I'll even take my towel to it after this to pull away some of the pigment. So I want it to be really subtle. These really are so far in the background, I don't think it would be very obvious where the shadows are. There, just a little something like that. Super, super subtle. Do the same thing on this side. Just little dots. Trying to work quickly before it dries. And a little more water. Spread it out. So I suppose I could call this, I'm staining. I'm just wanting to stain the paper instead of properly paint it over it. There. Oh, one right there. There. Okay, now same thing. Take my towel and blot away so that it's as subtle as possible. Yeah, that's good. These flowers are the next closest, so let's work on them. Next closest to the viewer, I mean. They're still not that close that I think we'd really see a lot of shadow on them, to be honest, with how bright these flowers look. So I'm going to dab away the paint here too. Alright, now these ones we should be able to see. Little bit of shadow where the petals are overlaying one another, and as they're curving down or curving in, I think there would be more shading. So I'm actually just going to put water down so that we can make it really nice and soft. Okay, now apply a little color. And apply the color in the area where you want the shadow to be strongest, and then it will feather out softly into the rest of the area where you applied water. That's my technique. Now I'm looking at this. There's some areas I do want to dab away still. Make sure it stays as soft as possible. Yay, I think that's gonna look really good once it's dry. So let's do the other one. Oh, though maybe actually I'm gonna add a little bit more here because this flower might be casting a bit of shadow on this one. The one on the left might be casting shadow, one on the right. I don't want to take everything, so just using the tiny little edge. I don't want to take everything away with the towel, but soften it up. I'm going to finish this tea before the stream is over because my throat is so dry today. So this one, let's see, I guess the most shadowy part would be coming from inside, the middle part where the the petals curve in. The feathers. I guess that's what a feather is to a flower. It's funny. Okay. Yes. This is looking good. This kind of thing is really fun. It's really fun to paint light colored things with watercolor because since you work from light to dark, it's just such a... I don't know how to describe it. You get to the point where you're done a lot faster, I guess. Because so much of it is already there because the paper makes up a lot of it. Just did a lot of dabbing, but I think not football style dabbing. I think I want to take a little bit more off. Yeah. That's good. Yay! Well, while this dries, we can work on the middle part of the flowers. It's quite yellow. There's some little orange bits that you could see on these close-up flowers in the corner, but I think I'll just try to get a really nice vibrant yellow into the middle of these ones that are really, really far away. It already has a little touch of yellow in each one, but we will enhance that with a little extra. Yeah. These little tiny dots makes a big difference. Okay, and these ones on the side. I'm being careful about these bigger flowers in case they're not quite dry. Try not to touch my hand to them. And perhaps in these middle ground flowers, we'll call these foreground, background, and middle ground, we might be able to see a little bit of orange, and if not orange, where the petals come together and all the pollen is inside the flower, there's a lot of shadow actually. So these are so far away I don't think you'd be able to see it. But here we could put little touches. I'm going to wait till it's dry though, otherwise it'll just spread out and be one big shadow. But little touches of shadow color in the center. Well, these seem dry, so let's add some yellow here. I want to mix a different color. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Exie. I'm so glad you think so. Yay! It is fun getting to these more little details. I think I said that earlier this stream, but yeah, the little details. Yeah, I did, because I was like, it's when you're building a pyramid and you put that final little pyramid block on the top. That's adding the details. That's so fun. But you've got to lay that whole big foundation first. So, okay, let me look at my reference. Yeah, these have little... So it's interesting. Some of these... Ooh, I can't remember what the different parts are, even though I looked it up. These little round bits on the end of stems that come out of the middle of the flower. Some are pink, some are white, and some are a distinct like coral pink color. So I think I'll put little dots of pink in at the end too. But first let's add the pollen. You can really see it nicely here. It's very nice and rich on the close-up ones. But we definitely want it to be softly applied since the pollen is soft and powdery. Just add water to let it fan out. And use my towel to soften the edge. This is a part, this is very pigmented, so this is a part where I really want to be sure to change which section of the towel I'm using frequently, so that I'm only taking color away and not accidentally adding color in places I don't want it. Oh, that looks so much better. Wow, look at the difference. The one that I have not done the center yet. And I'm not done with the center, but just adding an extra layer, it looks so much more real, or so much more three-dimensional. And there's still plenty more to do. Oh, it's so weird to think there's only 15, 16, 17 minutes left. It's because I took my break so late, so it feels weird. Thank you. Thank you very, very much. This one is facing straight toward the viewer. So it's just sort of like a circle. And then this middle part is very dark. But I guess I'll paint it all, and then we can add the dark part later. Okay. See. Take some off. Trying to constantly change which section of the paper towel I'm using. It's not as soft as I'd like, so I'm going to add a little bit more water and pull some more off. Okay. So it looks like these middle ground flowers are dry enough. We'll let these ones dry. I'm actually going to turn it upside down so that I don't accidentally touch that if it's still wet. And let's see, I think I'll just use the same black color from the adult Gryphons. Since there's so much of it, and why not? We'll use this to be the really shadowy, just a little indication of the really shadowy area as it goes into the flower, so the light is not reaching. It's not a perfect circle shape, it's just sort of a almost random kind of, it's kind of like a star shape, kind of like a few circles together. It's because maybe there's some little like pistil coming up and blocking it, or a stamen blocking it, or whatever. So hopefully this is, oh, maybe we want to lighten this up a little bit though. Oh, this one dried faster. Well, because I put it down first, of course it dried faster. Maybe put a bit more back in. Ah, it's hard to decide. I don't know if you can hear that, but Chappie's fixing up her bed. She's like digging on her bed to make it how she wants it. Now let me get a look at this. Yeah, I think that's good. I don't want to bring too much attention over here by adding too many details, because the attention should be on these Gryphons. But I do want it to be like recognizable, what is this little thing? So I have to find that balance between adding details and focusing on the subject of the piece. It's dry now. This needs a little bit more yellow I added it in the pattern I sort of see. Like it goes out toward the spaces between the petals. Whoa, I'm knocking my palette around. Well, while that one's drying, I think I can work on this. While this flower is drying on the left, I think I can work on the flower that's to its right. Trying to be more descriptive with my speaking for anybody who's just sort of lurking and listening. I realize I tend to say this one, and this thing, this, and that's all it is. So try not to do that. Practicing. Being more specific with my speech. Now I'm painting the shadow that's occurring on the inside of the flower. And I definitely want to gently bring it out so that it transitions from light to dark. Oh, I got my 10-minute alarm, well, notification. 10 minutes left. Ooh, looks nice. Yes. Is this one dry? Feels dry enough. Let's try adding the same kind of shadow in here. But this one we're looking straight at, so it won't be as much of a transition. It'll be more of just a big black splotch. It is still a little bit wet, but I think that actually works in our favor for what I'm trying to do with this one. Because then it radiates out naturally, but I can keep adding a little bit to the middle to make it darker in the middle. Softening the edges of this black shadow. Look at my reference image. So it seems like the petals actually sort of come out in the middle and then dip in as they meet each other. So I think I need a little bit more shading in between the petals here too, just like on this one. Seems to depend on the flower. Each flower in this ring of flowers I'm looking at for my reference image is a little bit different. Wow, these look so much more 3D. So much more three-dimensional. Yay. Still not, this one's still not dry, so I'm not sure if I'm done with them yet. But while it dries, let's see what we can work on for 8 minutes here. I guess I would like to try to add a little more color to the beak of this Gryphon that's really close, and I miscolored the top side of the beak at the very beginning. See if I can add a little bit more color to get it to more closely resemble the bottom part. It looks a lot better. It looks a lot closer after what I did earlier today, but let's see if adding a little bit more of just pure, this cooler yellow that I have, pure yellow, not really mixed with anything except what's on the palette right there. Let that dry and see how that looks in a second. Or maybe tomorrow, if I don't have time to look at it once it dries. I really do like how these flowers are looking. I think I'm ready to add these little interesting coral spots I'm seeing. Try to mix up that kind of color. Actually, this is pretty close right here. Maybe I'll use my paper towel if it seems too much. Just put little spots. There's not too many of them, just like one or two, three per flower. Yeah, that's probably good. Can't really tell what they are. So maybe my placement doesn't make sense in the natural world, but I think it's a cool little addition of color. I'm trying to decide. I think I'll just let them dry. I won't dab them. I like having that pop. A little tiny pop, like a little sprinkle of pepper or something. Okay. What else can I work on in 4 minutes? I want to pick stuff that won't take me the whole 4 minutes to mix a color or something. Oh, this little strings on their heads. I've got this lovely gray. Let's put some shading on there. Perfect. Found a little small thing to work on. Now, where have I recently put color? Here. Okay, so I need to remember this part and this part, not to put my hand on it. This string, I think, would actually be fairly shaded because of the way the round head would be covering it. This one too, because their heads are rather fluffy, and the string is small, so I think the feathers on the heads would be casting enough shadow to at least make it this gray, and I think I can make it a little darker in a couple of spots to show there's even more shadow or even more light being blocked. Alright, I have to be careful because now I have this one to worry about. Little wet area, but I think right here and right next to the rim of the hat. Same thing here. Under the chin, basically. Make it darker. Sweet. So, less than 2 minutes left. Is there another little tiny thing I can touch some paint onto? Guess I could add some really light indications of the veins in the petals of the flowers. So I do see some of that. There's texture to these flower petals. And since this is so light, it's definitely better to do this with watercolor than to do it with ink later. I have a gray ink, but it's not light enough. And I realize now I think these are called stamen. Anyway, I didn't put any shading on them. They're just these plain white color right now. Let's definitely get some shading on there with this lovely little gray that we've got. I did do a little bit on these ones using the black. But on this flower, I forgot. Okay. Oh, perfect timing. Just turned to 16:30 for me. Yay! Another couple hours of work done. Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for joining me. It's always so wonderful to have you here. I am so serious about that. I really appreciate your presence. Here is the progress that we made. So much different little touches here and there, and it's just slowly, I think these flowers are pretty much done now. A lot of little small bits are done. Next time maybe I'll work on the cupcake. The cupcake is probably my favorite part of this piece. Well, there's 2 cupcakes and then the remnants of another cupcake, so maybe that's what I'll work on next. We'll see what I think when I get there. I'll probably forget that I said that by next week. Let's see, did this focus back down? There. For sure it did now. Awesome! Let's see who we want to raid today. Is there anybody on? Yay! I'm excited! Yay! I'm excited to see you tomorrow! Yep. Let's raid Margot Simone Art. Looks like she's working on a raccoon. Raccoon Professor. Oops, I bumped into my stack of drawers. Okay, I'm coming over to my PC as usual to raid from where I have a proper keyboard to type from. I hate typing on my phone. Okay. Let me get another tab with Twitch on it so that I can actually tell if the raid worked. If I do it from the channel, what is it called? Channel, from the stream manager, I can't tell if it actually worked or not. So I have to do it from just regular looking at my channel. So //raid Margot Simone Art. Yay! Well, that is it for today. I'll be back tomorrow. Looking forward to seeing you, Exie. Yay! And the countdown is done, so let's go! Alright. Looks like it worked. If anybody is still on my stream or watching this recording later, as I said, I am done for today and we'll be back tomorrow, same time, for some Chibi Friday. Hope to see you then. Thanks for watching!